Shut up and sit down.
All right, so to move on then, final thing we got to get to in this episode is the announcement of the Xbox One X Project Scorpio edition.
I feel like
now, if you can get all those words out of your mouth.
When is the last podcast we didn't talk about Xbox?
Can you just call
the
it
last
Scorpio?
two?
None of them. None of them.
The last two we didn't talk
That's
about.
a lie.
That's
I'm gonna go back and
PlayStation. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Right, we didn't talk about it during
the movie thing. We had the movie thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right,
anyways,
fair enough.
So, but they announced the Project Scorpio version, which I'm excited to see that at least they're incorporating the Project Scorpio name into something, because it's a better name than Xbox One X, in my opinion. For the love of God, did you guys see what a ridiculous spectacle they were making of the box that it comes in?
No.
Did you know that a box is a feature now? Because apparently they're making.
Oh yeah, the artwork on the box. I saw something on Twitter. They're like,
oh, it's beautiful.
It is a nice looking box, and it is cool that they're kind of reaching back to the original Xbox. Have you seen the picture of the box? You know what I'm talking about?
But I don't remember what it looks like.
So the top, remember the original OG Xbox, the first one? Mm-hmm. It was a big X.
Yeah.
You had your Xbox logo in the middle, and then had the big
on the side.
Yeah.
Next to it. Yeah.
The box to the Xbox One X Project Scorpio edition looks like that.
Okay.
Where like they have shading on there, so it looks like a giant X, where it looks like you're looking at the top of the original Xbox, which is a nice touch. But they're making it seem as though like this is a selling point to buying the Xbox One X. So like, oh, you get this awesome box. Have you ever used your box for anything? To any console?
Nostalgia sells.
Yeah, I frame all my system boxes and put them in my house.
So you're signing up for the Xbox One X then?
Oh, I'm in. I mean,
I would
just
like
the
to
box
sell,
alone.
I would like to sell you my box.
To be honest, I don't want the system, but I'll buy your box.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
$4.99.
$4.99 from the box.
Yep.
$4.99.99.
You can keep the garbage inside of it. That's fine. I'll take the box.
I mean, it's a nice touch, but it's silly how big of a deal they're making of it.
That's probably incorporated in the price point. You realize that you're paying for that amount of effort that they put into that box.
It's only on the Project Scorpio version, not on the regular one.
That's why
and
the
the price
one's going to be $450.
The price is the same for both.
Sure it is.
Say that now.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens in
Down
3
the road.
months.
And so then it's got the Project Scorpio wording along the counts on the bottom, and it's got it going vertically up the controller, which I'm not too fond of the vertical writing in there on the controller, but it's kind of a nod to the Day One edition that they did with the original Xbox One. It is kind of a cool touch, I guess. The controller is also going to feature a smoked out buttons. Like the buttons are not going to be the blue, yellow.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a grayscale kind of button, which looks cool. And there's a couple other Easter eggs on there. I think on the back of the Project Scorpio edition, there's a number, and I want to say it's the number from the teaser trailer for the Xbox One Scorpio, or the Project Scorpio teaser, where everyone was trying to figure out what this number meant, but it's actually like the date of when the first Xbox launched, the date of when the 360 launched, and the date of the Xbox One, and it's like all in sequence, and they put the number together. So it's got a couple of Easter eggs on there, which are all fine or whatever, but it is a very limited
play
thing.
That for Powerball.
That's a great idea.
Right.
I'm going to do that.
It's a shame that they already won the jackpot, though.
Yeah,
There'll be more next
There
time.
will be more.
Only 3 days late.
So you guys are still not into the Xbox One X, correct?
No.
I'm not into it because I'm sure I'll get it at some point, but I've got a 1S right now. I don't have a 4K TV, and from what I'm seeing and what everybody keeps harping on is that like only the racing games look really good on this right now. Only the racing games like Forza, or they said F1, like a Formula 1 racing game, is running at 60 FPS, which everybody is making a big deal about nowadays. Everything else is just getting enhanced resolution. So I think it's going to be a couple years before developers really start to make games that are going to really take advantage of the power and the ability of the Xbox to display them and run them like in 60 FPS, or kind of bring in my niche with like Destiny 2. A lot of people in the Destiny community have been like harping on Bungie about not bringing Destiny 2 to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in 60 FPS. Right. But you can run uncapped on PC because
yes, you can.
Yeah, which is like PCs, it's different.
They're
You
just
can do
building it to the
whatever.
lowest common denominator.
Well, it's because
Yeah.
PC doesn't have essentially a stopping point.
Right.
That's and it's always been that way. I mean, when you get a
Right.
console, it's a stopping point. You can only do so much until
Yeah.
they're like, "Hey, we're making this next one." And, okay, fine, you can go higher than that. But yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if it was running at 60 frames per second, but you're still gonna love it.
Yeah, I mean, and it just boggles my mind that some people get so uptight. That's like a major selling point for them. And
Sure.
some of these people were just disappointed with games not coming out in 60 FPS, not just Destiny, but anything else.
The
I'm
problem
sure they'll
is-
look great, but I'll wait a couple years until probably everything will run 60 FPS.
The problem is with things like that. So like the Xbox One X and probably the PlayStation 4 Pro could probably run Destiny 2 at 60 FPS if they wanted it to. The problem is that people have the regular Xbox and they have the regular PlayStation 4, and those cannot. So you can't put people in a game that is all about being with other, like a multiplayer game
Right.
where you have some people that are at 30 FPS and other people are at 60 because it gives a unfair advantage to
yeah.
those with the higher frame rates. So like the difference being with like a Halo, where Halo and multiplayer, you're kind of limited to whatever the lock-in point is. But in single player, at least as it works now, is a dynamic frame rate adjustment. So this way, as during the game, you kind of go up to however fast it can lock it in at, and it scales back when needed. And I think it does that with resolution as well.
Okay.
This way, it can kind of balance it based on how much is going on the screen. The difference is when you play something like that on the Xbox One X, it will lock it in at its highest point for both because it's got the processing power to do all that simultaneously rather than having to give and take in order to make it work. And because it's happening in single player, it doesn't really matter because you don't have other people that you're interacting with. Now, during Gamescom, I think it was the Assassin's Creed team was explaining like what was going to be different with the Xbox One X, and they're talking about your draw line. So like you can see way different, like you can see way more of the world from one vantage point with an Xbox One X than you can if you're looking at it from a different console because of the power that can now take all that stuff in there. The resolution is improved, like you said. It's going to be different with the shading and those kind of things. But I think that there will be benefit to people that don't have the 4K TV. Not as much benefit, but I know like Rise of the Tomb Raider, they're doing various versions of the game where when you start it up, you say, what do you want to play? The 4K version? Do you want to play the enhanced 1080? Do you want to play the regular? And you just pick, and it will use that super sampling thing that they were talking about to make your image better even if you don't have the 4K TV.
Is there an option for I don't care, just let me play the game?
There is.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's not worded that way. It's worded David doesn't care.
I
instead
just
of
want games. I don't care about all this other stuff.
Right.
I just like games.
I agree.
I hate to be just like so simple about it, but I don't care about buzzwords. I
But-
don't.
But here's the thing.
Why are we both doing this, by the way?
What?
What are we doing? Are we diving?
We're
into this
diving.
blue table?
Here's the thing. I've said it before and I will say it again. Mark my words that the Xbox One X will have its own exclusives at some point down the road. And this is going to happen. I think this is the fact that their pre-sales are phenomenal right now, I think is going to help that case. Because right now, Microsoft just said today that their pre-orders for the Project Scorpio edition has outpaced any Xbox to date, like with the first 5 days, whatever it's been, like in a landslide margin. So the fact that this thing seems to be popular, if they get enough people, when they get enough people to start migrating over to Xbox One X, at some point a developer is going to go, listen, I got a great title I would like to make for you. It's only going to work if I have this amount of horsepower, and I can do this for the Xbox One X. It's not going to be able to be the same experience on something else. Is Microsoft going to tell them no? They have no exclusives, and they're going to say, well, no, dumb it down for us so this way we can put it on there. It's going to happen,
probably
and that'll
will.
be the beginning
Yeah.
of this weird in-between generation thing.
But you got to remember, too, that it can outpace and be amazing and everyone's reserving it and blah, 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 right? But you got to remember, at least probably 2 out of 10 are not buying it for themselves. They're buying it for resale. And this is how every system goes. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. If it is a major company releasing a major piece of hardware, it will sell out always within hours or minutes every single time, no matter what, even if there is not enough interest in it, whether there's
Sega Saturn.
Sega Saturn is so long ago. That's before the era of eBay was huge. You realize this, right?
Do you think eBay makes the
eBay-
difference?
Dude,
on
you
that?
have Let Go, you have Facebook Marketplace, you have eBay, you've got Craigslist. You probably have 3 other different types of like auction
So people are
sites out
pre-selling
there.
because of the ability to resell it?
That is okay. Do you want bring in SNES Classics then? Why did that sell out? Yes,
Because
popularity.
Nintendo made 6 of them.
Also popularity. Dude, how many
And
things...
they're
how
going
many...
to turn them around for twice the price at Christmas
Oh, yeah,
time.
I'm sure.
That's exactly my point, is that people want to make profit off these things, and they will, and they know that it's coming out during Christmas, and they know people will spend the money to buy something they can't get anywhere else. So when they say, like, oh, it's outpaced the blah, blah, who cares? Because it's not all going into the hands of somebody who actually wants it.
It looks good for corporate numbers.
Yes,
but
it does.
If you
It
wanna look
looks
at for,
like there's interest.
for a consumer standpoint,
And I'm not
some people
saying...
want that they might get hosed and they have to pay like $600 or
It is a
$700.
factor, Jason. It is a small factor,
I'm
but
sure
it is
it's a factor. But I mean, you can't tell me that Microsoft isn't looking at the market and the landscape and saying, well, how many of these do we have to produce? Here's what we think it's going to do. Here's the numbers we think it's going to pre-sell. We're going to make a number of units accordingly. And then when their pre-sale numbers end up being lower than, or they're getting more, and their estimates are lower than they're actually receiving, and they're saying, like, we're readjusting quantities because it looks like this is going to be popular. You can't tell me that that's all because people are like, well, I'm going to buy a couple of these to resell them. There's genuine interest in this for whatever reason. I mean, people, some people just want the 4K, some people whatever. Something is going right about it, and that's ultimately it's a good thing, right? Because if Microsoft can sell these things, even if it's not going to put them in a position to beat Sony, which is not going to happen, if they can sell enough of these to gain interest, they might get people that are saying, I want to make a game for the Xbox One X, even if it's a multi-plat, but I want something that's going to really harness this power, to start to drive competition, because we can't let Microsoft fall completely behind Sony in every aspect, because that's not good for gamers.
I think what's going to happen, and you can mark my words on this, okay? I think this is what's going to happen. I think you're going to see them sell very well during Christmas for whatever the quantity is that are out there, okay? And then it's going to be the same thing as PS4 Pro and PSVR. It's going to die down for like 6 months and no one's going to care. And then for whatever reason, people will lose the hate and like they'll stop reading the articles about how it's not worth the $500 or whatever it is. And then people will be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll just get that. Let me just trade in my Xbox and I'll get that one of these things. And then eventually it will gain residual increase, like this residual increase in sales, which will then lead to, them being like, hey, we're doing really well and everything's great. And there's a lot of hate out there. There's a lot of excitement out there for this thing. None of it is justified until we get it in our hands. We have no clue. Like, I'm going to ask you the day you get yours, how you liking it? And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, it's amazing. Because if you didn't, you'd be like, God, I just threw $500 into the toilet. Like, what have I done? And you might say that, but I doubt it. You know what I'm saying? But realistically, like, remember the first week I got my Switch and you got your Switch? How excited were we?
Very.
How excited are you now with your Switch?
Very.
Are you?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
I still play it all the time.
I play
I play one game on it. Literally one. But I still play it all the time.
I play mine all the time too, but at the same time, I'm not playing it anywhere near as much as I was before. The novelty is worn off. But I still love it. I'm still excited for games that are coming out. I've got 2 more that I'm getting by the end of the year. Yeah. Very excited about it. Doesn't mean I'm like bouncing off the walls excited about it anymore, because that's just what happens, And
that's understandable.
PS4 Pros had picked up, and it was
But the
slow,
PS4 Pro, and that's exactly what I was going to say. I
they
remember
didn't
it being
sell
where
very well in the beginning.
Right, and they didn't pre-sell, like people didn't go bananas for the pre-sales on that either. So it's a positive sign for Microsoft, at least, that people are responding to the pre-sale option. And again, I think that this is a good play for them, because they need companies to produce games for them, right? So somebody is going to say, I want to make my game look as good as it could be, and if I have a choice, like if Microsoft and PS4 and Sony is offering them the same deal to get an exclusive, and they say, well, I can choose install base, or I can choose this thing that maybe it has a lower install base, but I can make it look so much better that I think I can recuperate somewhere in the long run. That gives them hope that try to pull some titles to try to compete with the portfolio that Sony has.
That's a risk, but it's a good point.
Yeah,
it's a risk. It's not a full plan, but they have to do something.
Think of it. If you're an artist, would you want the best tools to create whatever you do?
I would
think so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think I would love to have the machine that does whatever my vision is. I want it to look like that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to settle for anything less unless I have to.
Especially if the other option can't let you create it. Not even like make a pared down version of it, but for, let's say you really want to push this thing, right? And whatever you're doing just could not happen on a PlayStation 4 Pro. Then you say, well, I really want to make this game. And again, this is where it comes down to, at some point it's going to have an exclusive, because somebody's going to have the vision for some amazing title, and Microsoft's going to tell them no. No way. It's not going to happen.
No, and I don't think the development cost is going to be any higher to do it. I just think that they'll be able to, without having to downgrade. I mean, somebody showed me a video the other day of like what Ubisoft games look like at conference, and then what they actually look like when you get them.
When their heads are flying all over,
No,
and the
not
eyeballs
even
are
that.
sticking out.
Like there was a really like it was like watching like Watch Dogs or something, and like they showed like this car. The lighting effects were really good. The shadows were really good in the game, and then you get the game and it's like super bright. None of the shadows are there, and like the scenes that like something really cool happens, like all the lights in the city go off. It looks way different, and I'm just like.
Right.
I'm like, but that's always been a thing, you know what I mean? Like
The pre-rendered
they've always done
graphics
that.
versus the
notorious for that.
Right, and they are. And like think about it, like is Amazing Spider-Man, going to look like the way it did at E3? Probably not, but it'll still be great. It's just not going to be this presentation. It's going to be a game still. And games okay, one of my favorite things ever. Do you remember back in the day when you'd be in an important scene in a game and the game gave you control of the character? And did you ever do anything stupid where you just like took your character and just started walking in circles, or just like walking into a wall while like people are like, there's a really important scene happening, and you do stupid things with your character to make it look like he is not paying attention?
No.
Okay.
Why would I do this?
Well, but that was important, because if you don't direct the scene, like in other words, take control away from the player and like have the the animations and the motions and the facial expressions react to what's going on in the scene, you have the ability to make it really stupid.
Oh, like during a cutscene.
Yeah, like during a cutscene
Okay,
or something.
I got
Where,
what
like,
you're saying.
you know what I'm saying? Like if
Yeah,
this person is dying and they're like, "Help me!" and you're just like
running around
like
in the
walking
background.
away from them or whatever, like swinging your sword like this, doing stupid things
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the
yeah.
game still gave you control. And it's like they took that ability away from people because they really were ruining these really pivotal moments. Like I can't tell you how many times in the beginning of the game, and I'm like sitting there and it's telling the origin story of what's happening, what I'm doing in this game, and I'm just walking in a circle, just like doing this, just because I'm like, just hurry it up, I don't care, and it ruins the moment, and it's wonderful. It actually makes me happier.
That's pretty great.
But yeah. So anyway, that's right. That's what I'm talking about.
So the final part I'll add about the Xbox One X is the enhancements that are already going out for titles now. They're doing a lot of enhancements for their existing titles, which I think is an interesting but kind of a neat thing. It's sad that it has to happen, because that they're doing this because they don't have the new content to push. So they're going to enhance all these old titles and put new content in them to give you a reason to play them again once you get the Xbox One X. Which is creative, and I'm glad that they're doing it, because I'm going to benefit from a number of these things. Does this move the needle at all for you guys? Like, if you could play new stuff in a new way on some of your older games, is it worth replaying on an Xbox One X for you?
I took down a couple of games that I was interested in that are getting enhanced. Assassin's Creed Origins getting enhanced. Fallout 4, Halo 5, Battlefield 2, and Titanfall 2. Those might be interesting to see enhanced. Like The Division. I don't know why that game got put
No one plays that game anymore.
I mean,
They put ReCore on there, and
Yeah.
I liked ReCore enough, but I don't think anybody is heartbroken over they didn't get enough ReCore. That game was
no.
not finished when it came out, and they're putting in a bunch of extra stuff in there, which is great, and it's a free update, and I can get it, even if I don't have an Xbox One X. But I don't know.
But it's going to look prettier.
It's going to look prettier. I think
when
I'm glad that they're doing it. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining that they're doing it, because it's a great thing to do, and it's a very consumer friendly thing to do. It's just sad that they're in a state where this is what they have to do to get people more reason to play Microsoft
But you
stuff.
can build excitement by building the concept of nostalgia, right? Like, and I like to think of the NES Classic as an example, because like if you have one and say like you play Punch Out, you're like, oh man, this is as good as I remember. I love this game. Then you get beat and the game's over and you got to start back to like 3 dudes back or whatever. They could put you at like the beginning of the next section.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that was fun. And you turn it off and then you go do something else. Like you don't, like when you were a kid, you would be like, all right, well I got to beat this. Now you go through and you do it again. No one does that anymore. Like no one sits down and plays something. If they lose, they turn it off and they go to the next thing. Or especially when you have access to that many games. And I think the same thing about like the Xbox making these older games better. Like you're going to be like, man, I love that game and I had such a great experience with it. I can't wait to play it on my Xbox One X. And you will, maybe. and then you'll turn it off at the first time you die because you remember you don't need to play this game again. And there's so many other better things out there.
Yeah.
And this is why, like, even like Sony was like, look, we're not doing backwards compatibility because the stats show people will play it, but they don't. There's no longevity to it. Like, people get excited about it, they love it, but I cannot tell you how many systems I own.
We love the concept, but when we sit down and do it, we're like, oh yeah, this isn't like what it was 20 years ago.
That's
It's
exactly
still a brilliant move for Microsoft to have done that, though, because I'm sure that they are selling at least some consoles on the idea of people like, great, well, I have access to all my games now.
You're selling an idea, and that's okay.
That's great.
It doesn't matter. You
I
can
played
use
that.
whatever
I
you
played
buy
some of
how
my
you
old
want.
stuff.
Right.
So for me, it worked out fine.
Yeah.
Not as much as I probably should.
It's like selling a washer and dryer with app support. You can download an app and control your washer and dryer with it, but it still works functionally without it.
Look, guys, my phone says the washer's running.
Yeah, exactly. So my point is that
Look,
it's a really cool feature, but it's not necessary.
Yeah.
And if you never use it, you still have a washer and dryer.
It's true. Or
It's
you can
still
look
okay.
at it to see that it's running.
Or you can control it from home.
Like,
or
look, guys, if I walked up to it, I can hit the button on here and now
And it's a really cool thing to show your friends, by the way. That's another thing that people do literally every time. Like, Scott, you got to come over. You got to see this washer and dryer, dude. I can control it, and you'll be like, and then literally you'll be like, all right, cool. And then I'll never use it again, and he'll forget it ever happened. And like that's just what it is.
So what I'm hearing is, Phil Spencer, if you're watching, because I'm sure you do, but if you're watching, the Xbox One X needs to have washer and dryer support.
Yes, actually, that I would. It would be more justified.
That's how you'll get him.
Yeah,
We figured it out. Mystery solved.
or dishwasher.
All right. I think that's probably good for episode 22.
Okay.
Like the video, share with your friends, comment down below, let us know what you thought of the stuff that you saw in Gamescom, and if you're excited for the Xbox One X. And subscribe to the channel. Tell some friends about it. We appreciate it. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at Sergio Armani. If you want to follow Scott.
I'm at Pogo599.
And
You
if
can
you
get on the D2 hype train with me. Only 10 more days.
Yeah, you were a big Destiny fan.
Oh yeah, it's crunch time. Oh, it's so exciting.
And David, do you still remember your Twitter handle?
I do, but
It's a struggle every
But
week.
yours are so cool. Like, you guys have cool ones. And mine is just super business. Like, hey, if you want to send me your resume, send it to David_B_Reed at Twitter.com. I don't know how it works.
You should have taken.
Is it at? It's just at
Just
my.
at,
yeah,
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
it is. It's something like that.
You should have taken Super Samurai Blade.
Oh, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Or Katana Prime.
Well, what about your Twitch stream?
Oh, my Twitch stream?
You want to plug that?
Yeah, it's great. It's twitch.tv/Paul Blart Malblart.
There you go.
And I stream The Binding of Isaac quite a bit, so please.
If you want to follow
Come and
if you want to follow Down Forward Punch on Twitter as a group, you can follow us at Down Forward Punch. That's at DwnFwdPUNCH. So until next time, keep on gaming.
Hi, it's Larry here of Xbox Live's Major Nelson. I'm really excited to share this with you. This is the Xbox One X Project Scorpio
Project
Edition that we are
Edition.
announcing today,
This is
and
lovely.
will be available for
All
pre-order
right, now we get
today
a
as
good
well.
shot
Now,
at this. Let me
I have
spin
the
it around
special
here so you
white
can see the
gloves, which will
beautiful,
allow me to dig
beautiful
in and do
design
an
on the front, the
unboxing, but I want to
precision.
show you the
And
box
the dots
first.
is kind of a
because
gradient
this
all the way
is
down. Again,
beautiful. This
heritage
is the beautiful
showing the
packaging,
power. This is the
which
world's
leans into
most
the heritage
powerful
of
console,
Xbox.
and
Here
you
we
need a
see the
design
Xbox
to show that
screen.
off, and that's
For those
what the
fans
Project
that have been with us for a
Scorpio
while,
edition does. You can see it
they're
right
gonna
here.
notice
Look how
X
beautiful
on
it
the
is.
front.
And here we have the
Looks like
controller.
original
You can see it
Xbox,
says
doesn't
Project
Of course,
Scorpio
earlier
on the
this year,
front.
we
Of course,
announced
the
original
Xbox screen
Xbox
is there,
coming to
which
back
is
of
great
pack.
to see for
Here you can kind of see
folks
it
that
hinted
know
in
the
this
Xbox
Xbox
screen
One
with
X
its beautiful
limited
premium
edition
buttons. And I also
packaging.
want to
This
point
is
out
the
that all your
world's
existing
most
Xbox
powerful
One
consoles
controllers
will
work
4K gaming,
perfectly with
6
Xbox One
teraflops.
X. And
This,
of
as
course,
you know,
the
is a
Xbox
beast.
One
We
X
have
Project
trial for
Scorpio
Game Pass,
edition.
and
Isn't it
Xbox Live
beautiful?
Gold will be included.
All right, let's
In
turn
this
it around
box
and take a
over
look
here,
at the
you'll
ports
find the
back here.
stand,
Of course,
which
if you have
I've
an
already got
Xbox
attached.
One S,
This box
you'll already recognize the ports. They're in precisely the same order as your Xbox One S, so you can drop this into your home entertainment system, unplug it from the Xbox One S, plug it into the Xbox One X. We're gonna make it easy to move all your content over, and you're gonna be ready to go. What's really cool is we have some design touches back here as well. You'll notice that the HDMI out has a little bump on it, so you know when you're feeling back there, you know exactly what port to plug it into. Everything is exactly the same. It's gonna be very, very familiar. And that's a look at the Xbox One X Project Scorpio Edition. Now, everything in the standard edition is included in the Project Scorpio Edition, but here you get this beautiful graphic, you get the Xbox screen, and this exclusive stand. Now, I'm happy to share it is available for pre-order today, so get your pre-order in because once it's gone, this is gonna be gone for good. My name's Larry Herb, Xbox Live's Major Nelson. Thanks for watching.